During the Soviet era, there were 15 countries that united into the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, or the USSR. These countries were all communists that had a history of being attacked, such as Afghanistan, which didn't fall under Soviet control. The Soviet Union collapsed. The reason is because the President Gorbachev wanted to establish a multi-party system. He wanted the Russian Federation to become a political power.
The Soviet Union was the first communist nation to be in the World War, and the country was failing economically but succeeding in military personnel, with a staggering amount of 34 million soldiers. The Soviet Union was made up of wealthy and poor countries, such as Kazakhstan. The Soviet Union was developed by Vladimir Lenin to increase its wealth to other countries. The Soviet Union controlled 24% of the world, making it the second biggest empire in the world. And it also had the strongest military in both world wars.
The collapse of the Soviet Union involved several important people. One of the main figures was Mikhail Gorbachev, who was the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Other important figures like Boris Yeltsin, the first president of Russia, played a significant role in the dissolution of the Soviet Union. There were various independent movements in the Soviet republics, such as the Baltic states and Ukraine, that sought to break away from the Soviet Union. During the collapse of the Soviet Union, several significant events were happening. The economy was struggling and there were shortages of basic goods. Political unrest was growing and many people were advocating for greater freedom and democracy. Independence movements in various Soviet republics gained momentum, leading to the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the emergence of independent nations. The collapse of the Soviet Union was influenced by several factors. Economic issues like a stagnant economy and efficiency contributed to its downfall. Political factors such as the lack of political freedoms and widespread corruption also played a role. Additionally, the arms race and the financial strain of maintaining a large military presence further weakened the Soviet Union. The push for independence by various Soviet republics, along with the desire for democratic reforms, ultimately led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. The collapse of the Soviet Union happened across multiple locations, primarily within the Soviet republics. These republics included Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and many others. The dissolution of the Soviet Union led to the emergence of independent nations in these regions. It was a widespread and transformative event that had an impact on various parts of the former Soviet Union. The collapse of the Soviet Union is considered a significant turning point in history due to its wide-ranging implications. Firstly, it marked the end of the Cold War. Many of them transitioned into democratic systems of governance, embracing political freedom and human rights. Economic reforms were implemented, moving away from centrally planned economics towards market-oriented systems. Furthermore, the collapse of the Soviet Union led to the emergence of the new independent nations in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. These nations gained sovereignty and the ability to shape their own destinies, fostering cultural, social, and economic diversity. On a broader scale, the collapse of the Soviet Union sparked debates and discussions about the viability of socialist systems and the merits of capitalism. It challenged long-held assumptions about political ideologies and economic models, prompting a reassessment of global political and economic structures. Overall, the collapse of the Soviet Union had far-reaching consequences that reshaped the world order, influenced geopolitical dynamics, and prompted re-evaluations of political and economic systems. It remains a pivotal moment in history that continues to shape our present-day world. The government controlled the economy, and the Communist Party held significant power. This system aimed to create a society free from class distinction and exploitation, emphasizing the welfare of the working class. However, in practice, it led to centralized control, limited individual freedoms, and economic challenges. The Soviet Union's brand of communism significantly influenced global political, social dynamics during the 20th century. While communism as a political system has declined in recent years, there are still some countries that identify as socialist or have elements of communism in their governance. For example, China is often seen as a socialist country with a mixed economy where the Communist Party holds significant power. Cuba is another country that has a socialist system influenced by communist ideals. The collapse of the Soviet Union can be attributed to various factors, including economic challenges, political reforms, and social discontent. Centralized control of the economy and limited individual freedom under communism led to inefficiencies. Additionally, the political system's inability to adapt to changing global dynamics and address the diverse needs of its population contributed to its downfall. In conclusion, the collapse of the Soviet Union was a complex outcome of economic, political, and social factors, ultimately leading to its dissolution. The challenges associated with communism, including economic efficiencies and limited individual freedoms. This, combined with external pressures and internal disconnect, contributed to the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union. The collapse of the Soviet Union was a complex event that had far-reaching implications for global politics and the course of history. It was marked by a combination of internal and external factors, including economic stagnation, political reform movements, ethnic tensions, and the policies of Soviet leaders. Europe and the Baltic republics seeking independence further weakened the Soviet Union. The new geopolitical landscape, the collapse of the Soviet Union, reshaped global power dynamics and had a profound impact on the lives of millions of people. The USSR played a significant role in shaping global politics and ideologies. Its rise as a superpower with the rise of the United States influenced international relations for decades. The Soviet Union's communist ideology also had a profound impact on various countries and regions, leading to the spread of the socialist movements and shaping the geopolitical landscape. Additionally, the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 not only marked the end of the era, but also brought about significant changes in the global balance of power. The emergence of new independent states following the collapse of the Soviet Union significantly impacted global politics. It led to the reconfiguration of international alliances, as these newly independent states sought to establish their own diplomatic relations and strategic partnerships. The geopolitical landscape underwent a transformation, with the balance of power shifting as these states asserted their sovereignty and influence on the world stage. This period of transition also presented opportunities for the formation of new economics and security arrangements, contributing to the evolving dynamics of global politics. The dissolution of the USSR contributed to economic challenges and social upheaval in the newly independent states, which had ripple effects on the global economy and security. The collapse of the Soviet Union positively impacted the world by ending the Cold War, fostering democracy and allowing for greater global cooperation. It also led to the liberation of Eastern European countries and the promotion of human rights and freedom. The collapse of the Soviet Union impacted global cooperation by fostering greater collaboration among nations. As the geopolitical landscape shifted and countries sought to establish new alliances and partnerships, this period saw increased dialogue and cooperation in addressing global challenges and promoting peace and stability.